This is a Pele Media podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in again to Goonies Minute. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we carefully analyze and dissect the movie Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we are joined again today by Miss Crystal Beth. How you guys doing today? Everybody's
doing great. It's another beautiful day in Baton Rouge.
Beautiful day in Baton Rouge.
Getting everything going after the Christmas break and
right.
Getting back to work and working hard.
That's exactly right. Well, if everybody's ready, let's go ahead and get into the minute.
Let's do it.
In the previous minute, we saw Mrs. Walsh explain to Mouth the cleaning instructions that he was supposed to translate to Rosalita. At 11 minutes, Mouth assures Mrs. Walsh that he can translate her cleaning instructions to Rosalita. At 11 minutes and 5 seconds, Mouth begins to explain to Rosalita the importance of keeping certain drugs in certain drawers. At 11 minutes and 20 seconds, Chunk has revealed his method of fixing the statue. Unfortunately, his idea is a little upside down. At 11 minutes and 30 seconds, Mrs. Walsh explains why the attic door is supposed to always stay closed. Mouth translates the reasoning as it being Mr. Walsh's sexual torture chamber. At 11 minutes and 50 seconds, Mrs. Walsh requests that Mouth translate what is inside her supply closet. He begins to tell Rosalita anything but what was requested. And thus ends minute 11 of the Goonies. All right, so we've got a lot of cool stuff going on in this minute. We're continuing to see Mouth just screw with Rosalita, the poor thing, and he's apparently translating into Spanish what Mrs. Walsh is saying, and of course he's not doing it at all.
I thought that was really interesting. Okay, they go into the room and he talks about the cocaine and speed, and he says how the drugs have to definitely be separated. But then they go back downstairs, and that's when you see Chunk has glued the penis on upside down. And and Bran and Mikey are pissed. Then they switch back to the attic, and you see them talk about the torture devices, and then they go back down again. So it's like they're going back and forth. It's pretty cool how they go back from one scene to the other.
It's the urgency of both of them.
Right.
I love it. There's a little thing about, I don't know if the actress Lupe Ontiveros, she's been a maid 150 times. Did you guys know that in the movie?
The only thing I know her from is As Good as It Gets, where she was playing a maid.
I want to say it's like, I hate to say it, but she was the stereotypical maid. I mean, it's what she is.
150 times she played a maid. She speaks perfect English. She's born and raised in Texas.
That's awesome.
And she's always a maid. And she's like, I can do other things. Please let me.
Jeez. I didn't know. Is that God? Wow.
And as I had mentioned in another minute, she actually looks better today than she did back then. If you look at her,
she's gorgeous.
You look at her IMDb. It's like she has an age, a reverse age.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. Her hair looks great. Her skin looks great. Yeah, she's doing it right.
Well, one of the funniest parts in this minute, I think, is when Mrs. Walsh, tells him to emphasize how clean she wants the house when they tear it down.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
That's like my mom. Oh my gosh.
Oh really?
We had once a month for like maybe 6 months of my life. We had a person that was helping clean, and my mom would be like, clean everything. I'd be like, but Susan's coming. And she was like, I need it to be clean for when she gets here, and I never understood that. Ever.
I was always really tremendously messy, but no, like not food messy. Like I wouldn't leave food out, but just a clutter. One of those hoarder type people, but not like
a clutter's fine. Once there's a difference between messy and dirty.
Yeah, dirty. Like when we talk about cucaracha, like he was talking about cockroaches and things like no, I can't handle that.
So the only other note that I have is, I love Data's reaction to the upside down dick. That's what I have written on this piece of paper in front of me. So never in my life would I have thought that I was going to write those words, together, and then of course record it onto a podcast. It's going to be streamed.
That's so funny because my favorite reaction is Chunk's reaction, where he says, "It looks fine to me."
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with him?
And he says, "If you're peeing upside down."
Well, he's the one that glued it upside down. Yeah. He's looking at it and he's like, yeah, it looks fine. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just like, it's such a funny thing. The fact that he's the one that glued it. And he glued it upside down, and he's like, what? What's wrong with it?
Well, my favorite part of the minute is after the comment about the sexual torture devices, Mouth and Mrs. Walsh walk away, and then you see Rosalita looking at the attic, and then Mouth comes back and taps her on the shoulder, and she jumps up in the air.
Yeah.
And it's just more part of this poor woman has had a tough day.
Yeah.
Oh, I think she wants to go up there and see this.
Oh,
sexual
really?
torture
Yeah.
devices.
She is kind of
Yeah.
lingering by it.
Yeah, maybe she's like, maybe this is...
100%. This is the first time she's been curious. He's like, sexual torture devices, and she's like, oh, and this is the first time that instead of leaving the room immediately with them, she stays
That
and
is
looks
true.
and is like, oh, that's up there? And then she gets caught being a creep.
Yeah, now you could look at it that way, mamacita.
There you go.
That's how I read it.
That's funny.
In this children's movie.
Hey,
Wow.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But
the
that's
chil-
how I've read it my whole life, too. Like, from the
Really?
first time I saw it, I was like, she wants to go see those torture devices.
Jesus.
I guess that's a way you could look at it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't be the only one.
But it's
Neither of
true.
you saw that?
If I think about it, she did pause there. That's the only place that she pauses.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. That's a very good point. Huh.
know?
What are you getting up to, Rosalita? Shit.
And then she takes a step closer to it. Like, she starts getting a little... yeah.
that's funny.
So funny.
Jesus. All right, well, that's pretty much all I have for this minute, if unless you guys have something else. All right,
That's it for me.
that's it for you, too. All right, great. Well, everybody, be sure to tune back in tomorrow for minute number 12 of the Goonies. Crystal, thank you so much for coming on again today. Can we see you tomorrow?
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
For Brady Crane, this is Chris, and for We're Say Goonies.
Crystal.
Never say die. Thank you, Christopher. All right. Bye. Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.